I'm Representative Tim Ormsby. Thanks for tuning in to the floor of the Washington State House of Representatives. Since our last video update last week, it's been an eventful 7 days. I wish I could say that it's been positive, but I'm afraid the news is not all good. We had our quarterly revenue forecast just a few days ago. They happen every 3 months, and the state's chief economist, Arun Raha, Dr. Raha, looks at economic indicators of all sorts and varieties. He looks at employment rates, how many new houses are starting to be built. He looks at tax revenues collected, every type of economic activity, including activity going on overseas, like the events in Egypt and Libya, the disaster in Japan. He even looks at the weather. He takes that information and predicts revenue for a given period. And as Yogi Berra once said, the hard part about predicting the future is that it hasn't happened yet. And that's the difficulty that we have with these revenue forecasts. It is an informed and educated guess, but it's not real hard science. You can only do that looking backwards. This latest forecast took $780 million that we thought we were going to get. It removed it from our consideration. So $780 million is a big chunk of state revenue. What does that mean? Well, it means more cuts to vital state programs, programs that you and I take for granted and that you, myself, and all of our neighbors depend on. Monies for school, for health care, for public safety, for services to our children and our elderly, all throughout the gambit. This amount of money reduction means that those programs will take some cuts. When those programs are cut, citizens who depend on them, people you and I both know, are going to suffer. When those programs are cut, the other bad event is that the people that provide those services will either lose their job or get their hours cut way back, and then creates all kinds of spillover in terms of bad economics events. And to the extent that I get a little exercise sometimes when I hear people say that government does not provide jobs, we provide services, and those services are provided by people who get paid, and those are their jobs. And when we have these massive reductions, not only are those services not being provided, but the people that provide them are either losing their job or their hours are cut way back. We're at the point in the session where we're working overtime to balance this budget, this very uncomfortable economic news, and we're trying to do it in the way that does the least amount of harm. Dr. Raha points to a brighter economic future. There are some very hopeful signs, but we're not there yet, and our job is to take care of business as we know it right now. One important positive note that's going on, and it's not entirely positive, but we've been working throughout this legislative session on unemployment insurance reform, which is good news, savings for employers and increased benefits for workers using federal money, but we've also been working on workers' compensation. And if I can say, there are times when I'm sure that you read the newspaper or see something on television, become very frustrated. Well, even for those of us here on the inside, while we're here viewing these events, it can be equally frustrating. There are mischaracterizations of the facts, explanations that don't make sense to everybody all the time, and that is part of the political process where people present their views, they want an outcome, and manipulate some of the information in order for that outcome to happen. And I believe that's a little bit about what's going on with the worker compensation conversation at the moment. And like you, I get a little frustrated even though I'm here on the inside. At times like these tough economic times, our job, as well as your job, is to keep our families going. And part of the problem with the workers' compensation issues is that it's been difficult with these kind of rhetorical, inflammatory rhetoric that's going on around a failed system, that it's tough for us to do our obligation, which is to provide sure and certain relief to injured workers. Back to the budget. As I said, we've got about 6 weeks left, and that will be the entire focus from here on out. I could use your input, your advice, your criticisms, and concerns in order to do that job more effectively for you. My name is Tim Ormsby. I'm here in Olympia working for you, and I'd like to thank you for watching.